Now, I think it's pretty safe to say that the future of the Star Wars universe seems to be quite expansive, not just with their new books, novels, comics, and video games, but also, let's not forget about their new Star Wars TV shows in the mix, as well as their Star Wars movies, that are going to become a part of this massive roadmap for the franchise. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, one thing about the new universe that a lot of fans have been very much intrigued about has a lot to do with the fact that John, George, and Dave are pulling a lot from Star Wars Legends and throwing it into the Disney canon. This has been happening for a number of months now between the three creators to really perfect the Star Wars universe and to make it as best as possible. Now, given that there are a lot of other scenarios happening currently at the same exact time, we also have other new creators hopping on board of the Star Wars franchise that's going to really steer things in the right path. I know Peyton Reed, one of the fantastic directors, are coming back with other directors into the Mandoverse for The Mandalorian Season 4 and its surrounding spin-offs. So that brings us to Kathleen Kennedy. Now, she's still struggling with the Acolyte series, and she's still working heavily on Skeleton Crew, which, by the way, Skeleton Crew has been filming for quite a long time now, ever since June, and they're trying to get this thing wrapped up by, give or take, the beginning of November. Now, with that being said, there's been a lot of things happening with Kathleen Kennedy as of late behind the scenes that involves Disney executives and some very big consequences that Kathleen Kennedy is facing after doing something massive with the script of the Acolyte series. Now, with FAVREAU currently working on The Mandalorian 4 already with Dave, Disney executives are preparing to make some big adjustments over at Lucasfilm in order to regulate the Star Wars franchise. Now, it's described that currently one of the big decisions that Disney recently made was by altering Kathleen Kennedy's series, The Acolyte, based on what she recently did for the new show. As of late, Kathleen Kennedy has been falling into more trouble with the Disney executives based on one of the creative changes to the story that she told Leslie Headland to put into the script again. This change has to do with introducing yet another chosen one that would replace the prophecy of Anakin Skywalker in the Star Wars universe, something that was deleted from the scripts initially. Kathleen Kennedy recently brought that back in the story in a vague way that was going to be introduced at the end of episode 4, and that this is something that Disney specifically told Kathleen Kennedy not to do with the Acolyte. Since she reintroduced this concept to the script with Leslie's, of course, story, executives have been stepping in and are now limiting her budget with the first 4 episodes of the show. Now, let me just pause here quickly for a second for those of you that have been out of the loop. In the beginning of pre-production for the Acolyte, and when they were writing the very first phases of the script, there was this side story that was going to involve a new chosen one. Basically, the true chosen one that Kathleen Kennedy wanted to explore, that was going to be considered the first chosen one, if you will, that would replace Anakin's prophecy. Now, it never made much sense to me at all. In fact, it really broke a lot of canon. It didn't make any kind of logic in the Star Wars universe, so that eventually got reversed and deleted because executives told her not to keep that in the script because it's going to create a lot of backlash. It's going to create a lot of negative fan feedback, and that is something that they do not want with the Acolyte show. So Kathleen Kennedy finally agreed to take that out of the script, and she goes ahead and brings it back in a vague way, almost as if she was using this as a way to sneak past Disney executives to throw it into the story. That's just what it seems like. I don't know if that's the real case here, but that's what it really comes across like. And, of course, you know, they came across this in the script, and things were discovered, and how it does involve the return of the new chosen one taking over the prophecy of Anakin, and that's what led executives to really make some hardcore changes to the script right now by really limiting what Kathleen Kennedy can do with those first 4 episodes. Those are the only episodes, by the way, that she has creative power over, and they are now limiting her budget of the first 4 episodes of the Acolyte series, and that really does tell the fans a lot. It goes ahead and shows you that there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes between Kathy, Leslie, and Disney's executives, and it really is a back and forth scenario. This is exactly why I don't believe we're going to be seeing The Acolyte on Disney Plus until maybe the middle of 2024. There is no way that they are going to be able to get this thing filming by November 1st, which is what they plan on doing. And if they do, which is still possible, if they do, it's still going to be a very tight scenario, you know, because still the November 1st filming schedule is just for preliminary stuff, not the major, you know, scenes that are to be filmed. The major scenes that they want to get filmed, they want to actually get that by December 1st or the first week of that month, but it's looking more like January because Disney is now looking to delaying all of that. We'll get into that in just a second. So, the first 4 episodes are the ones that she has control over now, and Kathleen Kennedy has decided to pull the story once again to actually work with Disney on another chosen one and taking that out of the story into the Star Wars world. However, Disney's actions will remain when it comes to budgeting, after Kathleen Kennedy essentially betrayed Disney and went against Disney's orders on how not to alter with anything substantial created by George Lucas. The budgeting limits are going to remain for the first 4 episodes of the show, and the ones that FAVREAU has creative power over will be of a higher budget. Now, the series filming is actually going to be delayed because of what has been happening with Disney, and they're looking to delaying the process until January of next year, as this is causing more rewrites to perfect the script. Now, the next thing I want to go over in just a second is also going to progress things further. But the thing about this, too, that I think a lot of fans need to be very well aware of as well, is the fact that The Acolyte, it's going to be a very mixed series. And what I mean by that is, it's going to have different tones. I mean, you have Kathleen Kennedy controlling some episodes, and you have Favreau and Lucas calling the shots on the other 5 episodes. I mean, you're going to have different tones or themes because different creators are treating the show differently at different points in time. And I'm not quite sure how that's going to work with the fans. I'm not quite sure about that. I think that what's going to happen at the end of the day is that a lot of fans are going to favor the episodes that have the credits that show that Lucas and Favreau were involved. And those may very well stand out as separate stories if each episode is not so tightly connected to the other. It all depends. So, like I say, I mean, it is a very big mess of a situation right now. The budgeting is now pretty much on restraint for the first 4 episodes, very limited. So, I'm a little worried that the beginning of the show might very well turn off fans immediately, and it's going to create backlash, and it's just going to create another negative mess that Disney does not need. But at the end of the day, guys, I mean, listen, I mean, the real stuff is the shows that are being made strictly by John and Dave with the help of George. Things like the Mandalorian, the Ahsoka series, the Bo-Katan show that's going to be announced, the Jedi Knight anthology series, which, by the way, that will also be announced next year. I mean, there's a lot of things on the horizon. So, anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys have to say about this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again.